Now, it's a trophy that Pep Guardiola has won twice before, but never at Manchester City. Winning the Champions League has become a bit of a mission. But Thomas Tuchel, whose Chelsea side has beaten City twice this season, has something to prove himself, having lost in the final last year when he was manager of PSG. Let us go live to Porto and join former Manchester City player Paul Dickov and former Chelsea player Pat Nevin. Good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us. Paul, I'm going to start with you. City finished the season emphatically. We saw them lift the Premier League trophy, which they ran away with. Do they go into this match as overwhelming favourites or just slight favourites, as Thomas Tuchel says?
Yeah, I think they'll be slight favourites, Jackie. Obviously, the end of the season, winning the Premier League, where they've been fantastic all year. The best team in the Premier League by a country mile, but obviously, Chelsea, they'll be hoping that their form against City recently, the FA Cup semi-final, and then beating them in the league, will hopefully have a bearing on it come tonight. But I've just got a feeling that Manchester City really want this tonight, and it's the one thing that's been pointed at them over recent years is not winning the Champions League, not getting to the final of the Champions League, and the performance against Dortmund in the quarter-final, then the performance against PSG, especially in the semi-final, not just the way they played, but the desire they had not to lose that game, is the reason why I believe that they go into it as favourites tonight.
Pat, what do you think? I mean, Chelsea beat City twice, recently, including in the FA Cup semi-final. But, do you worry about how they finished the season? Because they sort of fell away a bit, didn't they?
They did in terms of results, but only in terms of results. They continued to play exactly the same way. They just didn't get the same amount of luck. They don't give many opportunities away, but those 3 or 4 goals they gave away at the end of the season, they were either, as we say in the game, worldies, or else they were, flukes against them. So they will take a lot of heart. I mean, this goal by Marcus Alonso that gave Chelsea that win, but they will also be realistic about it. I don't think City put their best team out in either of those games. So it gives a little bit of a fill-up, a little bit of a lift. But I'm very much with Paul on this one. There is no doubt that Manchester City are slight favourites, but that also slightly takes the pressure off Chelsea. They're ahead. Someone said to me they're 2 years ahead of where they would be expected to be at this point. 2? About 4 or 5 years ahead would they expect to be, purely because this is Thomas Tuchel halfway into a season. So he's done well to get this far, and he'll just hope to have a great day on the day.
Yeah, he won't be just thinking he's making up the numbers, though, will he? How important is it, Paul, that the City players don't make this too big a deal, make this match too important? Because, one of the headlines in the papers today is, it's the Holy Grail. But, one mistake, wanting it too much, can also be a bad thing, can't it?
Yeah, it is, but I also think, Jackie, that they'll learn from recent seasons. A couple of years ago when they went out against Liverpool and then went out against Tottenham, and then last season, especially against Lyon, they were overwhelming favourites in that game. But the disappointment of that is the thing that's really driving them on. The Lyon game, there was a couple of individual errors. If you look back to Liverpool and then the Tottenham game as well, defensively, City weren't the best, but that's where it's turned around this season. Everybody looks at Manchester City, looks at the Kevin De Bruynes, the Phil Fodens, the Mahrez, the Bernardo Silva, and talk about the wonderful players they've got. But defensively this season, they've been outstanding, with Ederson in goal, Ruben Diaz, John Stones. And having the comfort of knowing how good they are defensively is the reason why I don't think they'll go into it with any nerves or at the same time being overly confident, because they know that if they defend properly, if they cut Chelsea down to the maximum chances that they're going to get, with the players I just spoke about going forward, that they can beat any team in the world. And, you go back to the Dortmund game where Erling Haaland was scoring goals for fun. They managed to keep him quiet. PSG, with Mbappe and Neymar, they're limited to limited chances in the game. And I think that's where it's going to be done tonight, because Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel, they've been fantastic since they came in. They're very, very well organised, very good defensively, but very, very good on the break as well, the pace they've got up front. So City will be wary about it, but they've just got to be careful, as you said, that they don't, that the nerves don't kick in and they just go out and play as Manchester City do. And if Manchester City play as well as they can tonight and Chelsea play as well as they can, I fully expect Manchester City to win. But it's a one-off game, and they're usually decided by big games, by either refereeing decisions or definitely the team that makes the least mistakes in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pat, the fact that these two teams know each other so well, you know, is that a blessing or is it a curse? Could they cancel each other out, do you think?
Well, that happens regularly. I can remember going to the Champions League final when it was Chelsea versus Manchester United over in Moscow. And there was definitely a bit of that, with the two league teams knowing each other that well. But you have to deal with it. You mean, I suppose you only play each other 2 or 3 times a season, so you know each other fairly well, but not that well. But I still think it'll be a good game. For it to be a special, special game that, you know, that everybody can enjoy, not just Chelsea and Man City fans, you probably do need an early goal. And if it was an early goal for Chelsea, that would almost make Chelsea defend. So you almost want an early goal for Manchester City so that Chelsea come out and then you get a much more free-flowing game. But, you know, whatever it is, the tension will definitely be there, and I'm looking forward to it. And it was interesting listening to Paul there, saying all the positives, and he's right about Manchester City. But, of course, there was one line that Paul did say there about Chelsea, and it's the giveaway line. It's the pace up front that Chelsea have got. And Chelsea's pace up front, they're not great scorers, but the pace is actually quite scary, isn't it, Paul? And that's the thing that's really got to me. The goals that Chelsea scored against Manchester City this season, they've scored in that area. However, the one player I expect to be in right away from the start for City is Walker at right back, because his pace defensively may well cut off the one line, the one hope that Chelsea have got of scoring. But they'll try and find another way, and it might actually take all the way to penalty kicks.
Oh, you know what? I can just so see that happening. Now, we're really almost out of time. I just wanted to ask either one of you, actually, I'll ask Paul, you know, do you think this game should have been played in England? Given the circumstances, given COVID, you've got 2 English teams. What on earth are they doing flying all the way to Portugal, and all those fans flying as well? Should it have been here?
Yeah, I'm not complaining, Jackie, because I've got to get to Portugal and get in the sun for a few days. So, but no, all seriousness, it would have been fantastic if it was in England at Wembley. You know, we would have been able to have more fans there. Obviously, it would have made so much sense. You know, Chelsea fans, Manchester City fans, and their thousands, and it just would have been a great atmosphere and a great spectacle. But I've got to say the atmosphere here in Porto with the Chelsea fans and the Manchester City fans. Last night and this morning has been fantastic. But I do agree with you, Jackie. It would have been fantastic if it was at Wembley with more fans in there, and obviously saves all the hassle of the travel and the expense of people having to get here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're out of time, so just very quick predictions. Paul, first of all.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to go Manchester City 2-1, although you wouldn't expect me to say anything less.
No, absolutely not. Pat, what do you think?
Disappoint you massively by saying I think you'll have 0-0, 1-1, all the way to penalties, and Chelsea are not bad at penalties, so I'll go for Chelsea, but only on penalties afterwards. One word about UEFA. They are a huge disappointment for not moving the game. They've really let themselves down, and they've let the fans down badly for not playing it in the UK. I'm very disappointed in them.
OK, guys, thank you so much. You know, have a great day. Enjoy it. I'm sure you're going to really enjoy it. I'm not sure it's a match that players can really enjoy. It's almost something just to get through, I think, isn't it? Thank you very much. But 16,500 fans in that stadium, it's almost like sport is getting back to normal, almost, you know?